So a lot of people who want to learn to code, they get tripped up in this game of procrastinating on picking what technologies, what programming languages they're going to learn. So Tom and I have been through this, I guess, kind of recently, and we have some thoughts about it. So just quickly, why should you listen to us? So I built and sold a 7-figure training company. I've run ops for a multi-million-dollar education business with 4 offices and 40 employees, and I fixed ops for over 100 companies. I've taught AI to 15,000 business people at this point. Tom's marketed 400 plus courses. He's fixed positioning for over 900 business owners. He's owned a record label, a coffee shop, a retail store. He's run multiple agencies. And that's why we're here talking about how to learn to code, because neither of us have coding backgrounds. And yet we made the decision earlier this year to actually get serious about it. What do you want to talk about today, Tom? What are the 3 big things?
I think that the first thing before we go into those 3, just to keep things a little fun, we are talking to service agency providers, right? Like, why in the world, Aaron, would a service agency guy with the best business model in the world want to learn to code?
What you just said. Services are the best business model in the world, except for all the other ones. It's like democracy, it's the best system of government, except for all the other ones.
Yeah, I just keep thinking, why wouldn't I want to leave my multiple clients and multiple employees that all want things from me?
Late night phone calls and all that stuff.
Why would I? Code.
Totally not.
It's like before you start an agency, coding looks horrible and hard because it was before. And then after you've been running an agency or multiple agencies for 15 years, you're like, you know what? I will go back to the coding part and figure this out.
Coding doesn't seem so bad after all that. Yeah.
So I think the first thing is the research, right? Because, going into...
You can spend years on this.
Yeah.
People have spent years on this.
It's fear. It's just fear, man. Because it's the unknown, you hate what you do, but you know what you do.
You don't want to waste time because you think you're already busy.
Yeah. And that's a good one too. I typically feel like when you start looking at coding at all, right? Unlike the agency world, developers are very opinionated about the wrong things. Because agency people usually will be we might argue about what's the best way to promote and make money. We will argue about I think ads are better or organic, but it's always to that, right? Developers, no, man. They will pick the stack that they learned. It doesn't matter if it's actually better or worse than making money. It's this weird loyalty thing, right? And when you start asking devs, you're not really asking the right question because they can't answer it. Because in your mind, you're just okay, what stack do I need to quickly learn to build something so I can make money instead of an agency? US could dev, and they're this is the most sophisticated stack, and here's why.
I'll give an example that's kind of similar that agency owners want to stand, which is, when you get into business for the first time as a small business owner, right? As a bootstrap person, which is what most agency owners are. You read all these business books out of Silicon Valley about how they use this marketing tactic, how they run lean, how they use agile, how to do all this stuff. And then you try all that stuff for your business and you make a big fat $0 with it. Because that stuff was not written for you. It was written for people who have raised tens of millions of dollars and are operating out of Silicon Valley, right? So what you hear from developers mostly about the best stack, the best technology, the best thing to learn, it's because they learned that at university so that they could go work for Google. They did not learn that so they could make money.
Yeah, huge things. What do you call it? The Rails money thing? What's that saying?
Rails money. I mean, look, this is kind of the second point. We'll jump ahead a bit here, which is the way that Tom and I picked. So we are learning Ruby and Rails and Hotwire Native for mobile. And the biggest reason we picked that is we simply asked our network of guys who were business people who had learned to code and who had software exits. And almost every single one of them used Rails. And we call it Rails money. 7-figure exits with Rails. I have not met a person who has had a Python exit, who has had a React exit. I just don't know those people And I'm not sure if this was lucky or not. I think it was a bit of luck, right? Because we already picked Rails.
to figure this out, to build apps. And then all of a sudden, DHH, the guy who's like the one that built it, I think,
Yeah.
right? He built it, yeah.
Yeah.
He comes out with this thing called Hotwire Native. And now, when you build one app, all you need to do is add like 50 lines of code, and that same one app can work in the browser, in the iOS store, and in Android. And just for the agency owners who haven't done any research on this, before, you would need to build 3 different apps for each one of these and have 3 different teams. And now we're just like, we were going to only build apps, but now we can build apps and phone apps. Yeah, there's a difference, like the sauce or that. Like we have so many choices, and we can just build one thing. Makes it so much easier.
Yeah. So at the risk of sounding opinionated ourselves, why did we pick Rails, Tom?
Because we didn't really have an opinion. Like we're just like, like what's going to make us the best? But like the second thing I said was opinionated because it's just luck. It happened. Now I can have a bit of like, well, this is a smart choice we made. But we didn't have an opinion. It's like, well, what makes money? Like when I started my first agency, I had no idea. SEO people made money. So what did I do? I had no clue about SEO. I go to a restaurant and a mechanic by my house, and I'm like, hey, you want to rank in Google? Pay me a couple $100. I'll figure it out. And that's how I started. That was it. Like I had no clue, man. I can make money. It was hot back then. Best approach.
Yeah. Luck, 100%. No, seriously, the best approach is talk to people around you, get their opinions, but then make your decision and make it fast. Right? Here's the other thing. Like, look, if you learn Ruby and you're like, oh, actually, later on you find out that, hey, actually I should have learned a full JavaScript stack, right? Like React or something. You know what? Switching from one programming language to another is not that difficult. It's just a different syntax. All the stuff you learn about loops and logic and ifs, then statements and everything still carry over. Implementation's a little different, sure, but it's still all going to be of use. And it's certainly better than sitting there and creating another comparison document between, which is the fastest, which scales the best, which is going to scale us all the way to $1 billion. Like, you can't even write hello world. How are you going to scale to $1 billion?
I mean, dude, there's like a guy out there writing PHP apps, which is like some old, outdated model.
Levels.
Yeah, level. And he's what? He's like $1 million a year. And no one uses it.
Mid 7 figures. Mid 7, yeah.
But still. So who cares, right? However, like for us, what does help is a couple of the friends we have, they do use Ruby and Rails. So, it's like easy if we were stuck at something, like we can just call one of them up and be like, well, I can't figure it out, which barely happens, but just do this.
Yeah. So, okay. So once you've picked your tech stack, how do you actually get started, Tom? How did you get started? Besides yelling at the AI, because that's always part of it.
No. The first thing I remember, you told me like, there's this guy with a course who actually built and sold a company. He's not a coder. He's more of like a marketer.
Yeah.
Right?
Ryan Culp, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, you can learn his like the initial Ruby thing, right? So I was like, that was a pain in the ass, man, because that learning that logic, how the code works, the ideas.
It's learning how to think in a different way.
In a very different way. And that took a bit. That took like 5-6 months for me to really grasp the thinking. I'm a marketer. Like this stuff is just so boring and useless until I can actually think of it in like business model concepts, right? And then the next thing is like, okay, well, Ruby is on the framework Rails, which was like the supposedly fastest way to build an app for a non-developer or for one person to be able to build everything, right? So just picked up a couple books, and with AI, because I'm trying to use AI as employees that will help me with this, I'm trying to go through and write these things. And what's funny is like I'm learning about as much about how to make sure AI can complete it because, dude, I don't know what it is with coding books, but you can copy everything exactly as they said and shit never works. But, so now it's like I'm learning the code because I'm doing stuff which, I'm debugging, but I'm also like how to get AI to fix all this stuff for me as quickly as possible. And that's how we're going to build things anyway. So yeah, I mean, my approach is like trying to get a team of like functional idiots to help me as I'm learning.
And I think this is just our opinion. Learning to code nowadays is pretty much, it's both, right? You need to be technically proficient to a certain degree, but you also need to be AI proficient as well. You need to know how to persuade the AI to actually help you get your job done faster.
I think get your approach too, because mine is very like, there's a wall and I will break through it with enough power. You have a different approach.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of developer friends from school and just from over the years, and they always tell me the same thing, which is to learn to code properly, you just need to type a lot of code, right? Which is how most programming books are written. They give you an example, you punch it out in your IDE, and then you run it and you see if it works, right? So that's like the foundation of learning code. That's the first one. The second one is I ask them, how do you guys use AI, right? Like how does a I have a friend who's a solo dev. He runs like a 7-figure company by himself. I was like, how do you use AI to code? And he's like, okay, really basic level. You tell it to do one very specific thing, and then you review it before you tell it to do the next thing. So for example, he's like, say you got to write a function, let's say you write a function to filter your types of users in an admin interface, right? He's like, tell AI to write it, tell it what you want to filter on, have it write it, check that before you tell it to do something else. Don't be like, oh, make me a user model that has this filter in and that also lets, admin users do X, Y, and Z as well. It's like, if you tell it to do too many things, it's going to mess it up. Right.
Yeah.
That's like the first, that's how real world developers who, worked at all the big tech companies, Apple, Google, whatever, that's how they use AI. Right. So before they would have to farm that out to a junior developer. Now they just farm it out to the AI, but they still check it the way that they would check a junior developer's work.
Yeah.
That's the approach. Yeah.
I would avoid the vibe coding influencers when you try to figure this stuff out. So here's one thing I've noticed, and it's kind of funny, man. There's a guy I know. He's a vibe coder, an overconfident vibe coder, right? So I go up to him once and he's like, you know what? I'm probably one of the top 3 vibe coders in the world.
What does that even mean?
Well, it means like it means if you buy my product, I'll make you happier. It's the same type of thing, right? But okay. And he's working on this thing, right? And then I maybe see him like 2-3 weeks later. I'm like, cool. So was this thing out in the world? And the day I came, something broke. He's still, by the way, vibe coding the same app, right? Something broke. He's pissed off. Can't figure it out. So I leave. I'm like, okay, I'll see you, whatever. Come back like a week later. He's like, man, I rebuilt this thing 5 times, man. It's still not done. And he's got a new idea now. So look, man, people that I've seen this thing on Twitter, man. Like, I don't know. It just came in my head now. There was a guy who was the number 5 user in the world for one of these AI models, always on their leader charts. And some people found out he's never built anything to the end.
He's just running stuff.
I think he's just killing tokens, man. He's just spending money like crazy. Yeah, just. And if you don't learn this stuff, man, it's scary because, and initially I've done this because again, I always want to hit the walls, and see what happens. I had the AI model keep building things and it had no structure. It built itself into a corner. So one of my pages had 10,000 lines of code, which you will quickly understand if you learn anything. That's the dumbest thing ever, but that's what the model did. It couldn't find its own code anymore. It couldn't refactor. It couldn't do anything. It just got stuck and gave up. But until that moment, it felt like something was happening. And I think that's the attraction of vibe coding.
And probably AI in general too. It feels like you're being productive.
Yeah, but with vibe coding, it really, because I could see things happening. I would click on screens, things would show up, but then things would just not work at all, right? Because when you don't know how to talk to AI and you tell it to make changes, it will also often do redundant things. And in the end, it can't figure out anymore what's the right thing because it rewrote the same thing 18 times and it doesn't know which one's right anymore. Nothing works. It can't find it. It gives up. Like you got to rebuild it from scratch. And then with some like, okay, I'll just follow Aaron. I'll learn this shit. Right. So if you're a service provider, 2 simple things: stack and try to learn that, and avoid vibe coders. Until next time.